Hi guys, it's Max from HiOnAndroid.com, where we get
Hi, on Android Day.
Anyway, it's that time of the week. Let's do a review of the Galaxy S9 Plus. Let's go do this, baby. So I have been daily driving the Galaxy S9 Plus for almost 2 weeks now. This is the international Exynos version. Alright, the reason why I got this, for those of you who know, which is a lot more efficient with the Exynos 9810 over the Snapdragon 845. Now for gamers, Snapdragon 845 will do better. Those are all the US models. Now the problem with the US models that I don't like about it, a lot of them have bloatware, and a lot of times your phone may slow down after a month. Most of that actually is caused by carrier bloatware. And also, we don't know if CIA or FBI put backdoors in the US models, which I think they did. Possibly. But the Exynos models don't have any of that because it's for the international models. I mean, they're still the same phone. Everything's pretty much the same, just a different processor. Right? But my review is going to be based on the Exynos model. It's also dual SIM model. So the big question, is it the best phone of the year? I mean, although in my testings, I got very critical of the camera. I mean, in comparison to the best in the industry, such as the Pixel 2, I still do feel this is the best smartphone you can buy right now in 2018. Now, Galaxy S9 Plus obviously features Snapdragon 845 processor or Exynos 9810 processor like mine, 6.2-inch 1440p AMOLED curved screen, alright, which has been Samsung's trademark. 6 gigs of RAM for the S9 Plus. The S9 only has 4 gigs, so if you want the higher RAM, you'll want to go with the bigger S9 Plus. Also 64, 128, 256 gigs of storage, which you can choose from. Mine is a 64. Of course, micro SD card slot. The back featuring 2 cameras. One of these is 12 megapixel f1.5 and f2.4 that auto switches, along with an additional f2.4 2x zoom camera. And you can see the fingerprint sensor has finally moved to the center. Now, I still feel a little awkward. If you have short fingers, it'll actually work out perfect. If you have long fingers, you'll obviously have to sort of crouch down like Crouching Tiger. All right, I have to really get used to this. Of course, everything's glass as usual, and if you're using for your naked, I mean, it just gets really gross. Sometimes in real life, I see people using their phone, and you know, if you use your phone naked and you hand it to somebody, it's just like really gross. You got all this grime on there, and because of that reason, I would actually use a case just for the grime, not even for the protection. So that's one of the drawbacks of having a beautiful phone. And look at it, even though I just cleaned it, and I even cleaned my hands just now, it just keeps picking up grime. You'll see what I mean, especially if you go to like trade shows, you're all trading phones, and it's just like, oh, I'm getting all this germs on me. But the good thing with this phone is it is 100% waterproof. It's IP68. Now, they don't really design it for swimming with it, but I've gone swimming for hours with it. I've taken in my 100-degree plus spa, as with all the previous Galaxy phones. And the good thing is that you can clean it. So in general, another good thing with Galaxy phones is that once you clean your phone or put it in water, your charging port gets wet. A lot of phones that don't have wireless charging, you'll have to actually wait for the charging port to dry, or you could put a hair dryer sometimes, you know, you could do that. But with this phone, the greatest thing is it supports fast wireless charging. So I feel like that's an awesome feature that a lot of people don't point out. But when your phone gets wet and you want to recharge your phone, Samsung has the fastest wireless charging available. Now, you don't have to get the expensive Samsung wireless chargers. There's a bunch of companies now that sell fast wireless chargers. Ringke does there. I've got one from Spigen that I haven't actually tried yet, but this is also fast wireless charger. You don't have to get the Samsung ones. Anyway, those were sort of the same features for the last few years, but I just want to really point that out because I go in the water often. You know, I go in the shower and use my phone in the shower all the time. I gotta check my Bitcoins, you know, in the shower, or whatever else you want to do in the shower. I mean, you can get really creative with this phone and still recharge the phone. As far as feel has always been very, very, very good. All right, it's almost too good. Again, the fingerprint magnet problem makes it very, very useless to have curved screen. Also the fact that it's a curved screen. This is the most fragile phone in the world. All the Galaxies are. I've broken about 3 Galaxy S7 edges. This is one of them that I still have not got it replaced. I'll do it soon. But if you don't use a case, if you don't use any kind of protection, you drop it, this is the first phone that will crack. It's very beautiful, sexy at the same time. It makes it the most fragile. Now, let's talk about the camera. Probably the biggest feature, obviously, is the camera. Now, I did extensive testing of the camera already, so I'm not going to go over it in detail. I'm just going to tell you the experience I've had with it. In terms of the f1.5 and f2.4 main camera, it is very, very good. In bright light, it's going to give you sharper images with the f2.4 in the auto mode or f1.5. Of course, you can also choose that manually in pro mode, all right? And you can still use your phone in pretty much pro mode where you can go ahead and change the aperture. All right, if you want to do that manually. There you go, f1.5, f2.4. Now, the amount of bokeh that you get with f1.5 isn't too much, all right, over last year's f1.7, because it's not actually a big difference. So for those of you upgrading from S8, it's going to give you a slight improvement, but it's not going to be so much that I would actually upgrade from an S8. Now, the 2x zoom is nice. Samsung did, well, let me put in, you know, and I hate the Bixby. I simply hate the Bixby. It's like every time I want to do something, Bixby comes and I lose 5 seconds of my life. Samsung, please remove the Bixby key. I simply hate it. I use my Google Home for everything. I have Google Home everywhere. Google Assistant. I mean, for English-speaking users, Google Home is way, way better. But I hear that Bixby is very useful in like markets like Korea, where Google Assistant still doesn't work that well. Back onto the camera. So where the f1.5 really shines is in video camera. I mean, in terms of video camera, this also now comes with 4K 60 frames per second, which is darn nice. But this is not an absolute feature you need. But for those of you who make videos, you're gonna be able to make those crisp 60 frames per second videos. Slow it down, do a slight slow motion, or use the full 60 frames per second. So that's a nice capability to have. This is the ultimate videographer's tool. If you can't afford like a mirrorless camera and you want to do everything on your phone, the S9 Plus f1.5 and f2.4 is gonna give you very crisp videos in bright light or in low light. All right, especially in low light. I've tested with the V30, Pixel 2, all my phones that I have here, and low light performance is actually amazing with videos. But if you wanted the absolute best low light camera, then I would actually go with the Pixel 2. But if you don't take a lot of low light photography, S9 Plus will do it. I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages to every one, but if you absolutely need the best low light photography, I would go with the Pixel 2 XL. I mean, the HDR Plus enhanced processing on the Pixel 2, I just get better photos with it. All right, but this is not bad. This would be the second best choice for photography. So again, for videos, the S9 Plus, my best bet. For photography, I still prefer the Pixel 2 XL. Of course, don't forget there is a zoom lens on the S9 Plus, which also has very good OIS. So if you take videos here, it's gonna really stabilize it well. If your kids are into school theatrics or something, and you want to get that close zoom up shot, you're gonna be able to do it with this phone. But I actually don't really like to use it too much. The image quality is not bad for both photos and videos, but I'm a person that like to use the absolute best camera I have. So I'm just not going to use a smartphone if I need to zoom in. I'll just bring my mirrorless camera. In terms of front camera, it hasn't really changed that much. I mean, it takes very good photos. With this here, there is a selfie focus, which is basically portrait mode for the front camera. And so long as you have good lighting, it's gonna work pretty good. But in my opinion, Pixel 2 camera is a lot better. Now, Pixel 2 camera should be ported to the S9 Plus and S9 soon. So when that comes available, you'll be able to enjoy the same features. So I'm not too worried about that. All of Pixel 2's features should be coming. All right, in terms of AR emoji, this is sort of a fun feature. I don't really like it that much. I don't think it looks like me that much, but I guess it's a fun feature, but I just feel very gimmicky. But you do get your own emojis. It's kind of cool. For example, when I'm on my Telegram, now I'm going to be able to use my emojis. So automatically I get all of these cool new emojis that look like myself, sort of. And there you go. Automatic emojis. You get a bunch of them there. But yeah, in my opinion, that's not the reason to buy this phone. But all the older Galaxies should be coming with the phone because it's more of a software feature. Probably the biggest reason you should get over previous Galaxies is the stereo microphone. You got the one on the bottom and one on the top, and it is very, very loud. It's just as loud as any other stereo speaker smartphone out on the market. So I do really enjoy it, especially when I watch movies, Netflix. I'll pop on my kickstand and start watching videos. All right, YouTube videos, Netflix. And this is where I will really notice. And the sound has really improved, where it really improves experience when you're watching videos in landscape mode. But really, to take advantage, obviously get a nice case with a kickstand. I mean, that really helps out. So definitely check this out. I'll have a link to this in the description. There's a lot of redundant features. I'm not going to go over all of them here. I'll do another video on that, on how to use the S9 Plus, maybe 10 things you got to do when you use the S9 Plus. But yeah, the app says Smart Selects. This has been around. I mainly use the Apps Edge most for my authenticator, Google Maps, or anything that I use very often. You can go ahead and put any apps there. Of course, there's App Pair. You can go ahead and open up 2 apps. You can do the multitasking. All right, multitasking is also slightly more advanced than other phones. For example, you could put it in a pop-up mode, which is very nice, or you could do the regular multi-window mode. Just go ahead and hit that button, and you can watch a YouTube video and while reading a website. So that works out really well for the larger screen. I actually really like the pop-up. Sometimes there are apps I want to leave on because the system will close it. I can go ahead and leave it on just by dragging and leaving it on. Alright, and if you don't have YouTube Red, you can still leave your YouTube on all the time without paying for YouTube Red. Security has been improved, not hardware-wise. Samsung has added Intelligent Scan, which basically uses your face recognition and iris together to unlock your phone. Is it faster? Yeah, I guess it's a little bit faster. I don't think it's a huge difference, but definitely Samsung's on top of the game in terms of security, you know, especially where I find face unlock and iris scanner very useful. Again, if you're in the water, for example, if I'm in the spa, my whole phone gets wet. My fingerprint sensor gets wet, so I can't use a fingerprint sensor. So all I do is it unlocks it for me. So that's where I find face recognition or iris scanner the most useful. Not actually in using in daily life, but in situations where you can't use your fingerprint sensor. Okay, as far as performance, again, performance is very, very good. I haven't had any issues, slowdowns whatsoever. Of course, I'm not a huge gamer, all right? But if you're a gamer, you may want to go with the Qualcomm model. And it does come with the latest Android 8.0, which should be great. Software updates should be great. Now, in terms of 4G LTE on my Exynos model, I did have a video on that where I had trouble getting 4G LTE with T-Mobile. Now, that's not an issue anymore. Actually, I've upgraded the software, and I think it was a bug or something. But now I get 4G LTE fine on T-Mobile and get very good speeds most of the time. All right, so T-Mobile band's working just fine on the Galaxy S9 Plus. I'm not sure if the Exynos model supports the new 600 megahertz bands, but I don't think we get them here yet. So that I'm not sure about, but it does get all the previous bands. Obviously, Samsung has one of the best screens, 6.2-inch AMOLED screen. No, you won't find brighter screen than this, especially if you're outdoors a lot. Samsung's really on top of it. As far as burn-in issues, I've never actually experienced any burn-in issues with the Samsung AMOLED. The only burn-in issues I've had was with an older Galaxy like a Note 2 where I used it as a live cam for my security camera. But yeah, overall it's been very good. Now I know a lot of you are thinking about upgrading from S8 or S8 Plus. In terms of upgrading from last year's S8 or S8 Plus, I don't think it's a very good upgrade. Especially this is sort of a minor upgrade this year. Most of the design is the same. You get a slightly better camera, stereo speakers, But other than that, you don't actually get a whole lot more. So if you're in that boat, I would actually wait out for next year's S10. Now, if you're coming from any older Galaxies or any other phone, I think this is a very good upgrade. You're gonna love this phone. And for those of you Note users, you're using a Note 8. Obviously, it's not a huge upgrade from the Note 8. If you're a Note user, just wait for the next Note, all right? Note 9. Now, let me go ahead and take up some questions, last minute questions. All right, the first one from Lonnie.
Max, what do you think is the key selling point of the S9?
All right, the key selling point of the S9 is not the camera, it's not the stereo speakers, it's really the overall number of features that Samsung has developed over the years. A lot of it is actually the same. For me, that's not the selling point, but for those of you who've never used a Samsung Galaxy product, most of these features that Samsung has developed over the years, first of all, big smartphone, that's everyone else copying. All the security stuff, iris, face unlock, fingerprint sensor, all that stuff working really well. Waterproofing, huge again. Wireless charging, Samsung was probably the best combo, the best in the industry right now for wireless and waterproof combo is all the Samsung devices. I think that's the selling point. Samsung has added a ton of features and they've kept all the good ones so far. So there's not really one good thing to say about this phone, but overall, in terms of comparing the camera, performance, security, screen, all of that together, I mean, overall, it's the best phone out there right now. Okay, DJ Stank Daddy asked,
Would you recommend it as an upgrade from the S8?
Again, I think I've probably answered the question. It's not a huge upgrade from the S8 or S8 Plus. If you absolutely need the better camera, especially for video camera in low light, or if you absolutely need the stereo speakers, or if you absolutely need the upgraded processor to Snapdragon 845 or Exynos 9810, then I would upgrade. But in terms of performance, I mean, it really depends on what you do. Do you experience performance problems with last year's Snapdragon 835 or the Exynos 8910? I personally don't. Most of the apps I use, I still work fine with the Note 8 speeds. I actually don't really notice the difference. But for hardcore gamers, or maybe you do some kind of video editing on your phone, that could make a difference. But I don't think it's a good upgrade from the S8, S8 Plus, so wait out till the S10. Wake.awake said,
Is average Joe gonna see huge difference in photo capabilities between the S8 and S9?
Okay, that's a good one. From the S8, S9, speaking strictly only on photos, not videos, even in low light, you're not gonna notice a ton of difference. To the average Joe, it's gonna look the same. Even with the sharper f2.4, it's gonna be a tad sharper, but it's not gonna affect the photos you post on Instagram. By the time you post your photos on Instagram, all of that becomes sort of useless. And especially in low light, there's not a huge difference between the S8 and S9 Plus side by side. There's a tiny bit, but you're gonna have to get very microscopic. So no, average Joe who uses Instagram to post photos or Facebook, you're not gonna notice the difference. It's not huge. But with videos, there's a huge difference. I would say so. So yeah. Or save your money and get the S8, S8 Plus. And right now, you can actually install the Google HDR camera on the S8 and S8 Plus. That might actually give you better photos in low light than the S9 and S9 Plus, since the Google HDR camera is not yet available for the S9 and S9 Plus, which I should have a video of. Let me actually try that soon. Anyway, that's a wrap for today. I'll try to have a Q&A for those of you who want to do some live questions. We can have a little fun doing live. I'll try to have that later this week. This is just my initial review after using a week and a half. But overall, I mean, it is still the best smartphone you can buy overall. You just can't go wrong with getting the S9 or S9 Plus. It's a great phone. I've actually recently switched, especially I really like the video capabilities because I like to make videos. But I'll have a bunch of test videos soon with the S9, S9 Plus, especially with the 4K 60 frames per second. So yeah, right now I've actually switched fully to S9 Plus. Of course, I do miss my Note 8s. I really love the Note series. I mean, I've owned every Note, but I will definitely have Note 8 versus S9 Plus video soon. Have a great day. I'm sorry I didn't cover everything everything, but I just wanted to cover as much as I could in the time allowed here. Again, there's way too many repetitive things with Galaxy phones. But yeah, if you didn't get any of what I just said in this video, if you ask me which phone is the best smartphone in the world, I would still go with the S9 or S9 Plus. Is it the best deal? I don't think it's the best deal, but I still think it's the best smartphone. Have a great day, and as always, stay
home on Android.
Click here to subscribe.